think about flag football? I'm just curious about that because it's like you see the ads coming up after the Super Bowl, and I find flag football to be pretty interesting, and some of the athletes that they have out there. What do you think about getting the kids and especially the females involved in flag football?
I think it's a great way for kids to be able to like learn the game, learn the strategy, learn the rules. It's great exercise, right? And it's a fun way to do a team sport. And I know there's been a lot of, and I'm not saying I necessarily subscribe to this, but I think there's a lot of professional athletes, college athletes that say flag football is a really great way to play football, especially in your younger years, without the wear and tear that contact football can put on your body. And so Dane has really leaned into flag football, is really enjoying it.
When you were in Buffalo growing up, what was the plan? I mean, let's talk about you as a young person. What was your dream?
Um, it was interesting. I grew up and my dad's a cardiologist, and so like watched him work from a medicine perspective, and maybe I thought maybe I wanted to do that. My grandfather was an attorney. That work seemed really interesting. My other grandfather was a dentist. So I had lots of different like traditional professions kind of in mind. Um, had a really interesting experience when I was growing up. My dad, I was probably 16, had just gotten my driver's license, and my dad, we all did Taekwondo together. And my dad ended up tearing up his rotator cuff in Taekwondo, had to get surgery. So it was like the summer, I just turned 16. He wasn't going to be driving for a few weeks, and said, "Well, you're off for the summer, so your new job is to drive me around when I got to go see patients, get to the hospital." And so he was on call. That meant I was on call. And so there were several times where, my dad came in at 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, a hospital call, we got to go in. And so I'm doing rounds with him in the hospital. I think that was like an epiphany moment for me where I said, I don't know that I like this. And I really am grateful that there's amazing doctors out there, but I don't know that this profession's for me. And so, I always loved school, always had pretty good grades, and was always what I'd call intellectually curious. So liked learning, and had a great experience at Wisconsin. Uh, Knew I wanted to go to law school, was never really certain that I wanted to be a practitioner. My grandfather practiced family law, and we would talk about the pros and cons of it. But one of the things that my grandfather also talked about is that, nowadays you go to law school, and people don't just like hang a shingle and practice law or join a big firm, right? There's so many opportunities that can present themselves with a law degree, and particularly competitive industries, it can be a differentiator. And so during law school, I was making phone calls, sending emails, reaching out to personal contacts, anything I could do to get more knowledge about what the sports industry could look like. And was fortunate enough to land an internship with the then St. Louis Rams, and that was kind of my first foray in the sports business.
Did you already have an inkling to go into the sort of the sports end of business when you were in college? You already had that sort of vibe in your heart.
I didn't know what it looked like. I knew a couple people growing up, some family friends that had worked in the sports industry, but like Wisconsin at the time, they didn't have a sports management program. A lot of these programs that were existing at the time were in their infancy. And so I didn't know, I knew I wanted to do something around sports, but I didn't know what those opportunities looked like. Um, the old, the great Lou Holtz always said, find something you like to do, find something you do well, find someone to pay you to do it. I was very passionate about the sports industry. And, I think the people, when you look around in whatever profession it is, whether it's doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, the people that are the best at whatever they're doing in their profession, they're passionate about their work. And so I wanted to find something that I knew I'd be really, really passionate about. And I didn't know that at the sports. I didn't know what the sports business was at the time, but certainly glad that I discovered it during my internship with the Rams.
Let's talk about you some more with college. My question to you, Buffalo man, Wisconsin, did you ever think about Michigan State?
I didn't think about Michigan State. I'll tell you what. I went to a small private school in Buffalo called the Nichols School, and they called us 8-year survivors, meaning there's a middle school campus and there's a high school campus. and it's a small school. My graduating class was 103 kids, and top of the class, kids will go to Ivy League institutions, and everyone else really kind of goes to small East Coast liberal arts colleges is mostly where kids are going, right? And a lot of great schools. And I looked at a lot of those schools. And I thought I really wanted something different, I wanted a sports environment. I wanted a bigger atmosphere, more to do, right? I had a leadership, and I'm not going to name the school because it's a lovely school, but there's a school that I thought I wanted to do that was a small East Coast liberal arts college. I spent a couple of weeks there in the summer doing a leadership training, and I just was like, I can't see myself in a small environment. So it did change kind of how I looked at my college options. And I had a college counselor that's like, well, it sounds like University of Wisconsin would be like a great school. I'm like, Wisconsin? Coming from what's in Wisconsin? And I visited Madison. It was one of those days, and we have them here in Michigan too, right? Where it was spring break. So I spent some time in Florida with some friends and high school friends, and then was going to meet my parents to look at Wisconsin. And it was one of those days in mid-March where it's like the first 70-degree day of the spring and the sun's out, and we're walking up and down State Street. And I was like, this is fantastic. I had no idea that a school like this existed. And I made the decision that day, then and there, that I was going to go to college at Wisconsin. And there's a lot about Michigan State that reminds me of Wisconsin. The passion of the student body. The similarities, I'd say the biggest similarity between those two institutions. There's other schools, I'd say even in the Big Ten, where there's academic focus at Michigan State, and Wisconsin's fantastic. But there's like very few people you meet that are Wisconsin graduates, that are Michigan State graduates. They're not going to be very proud of where they went to school, and that there's like a tie to sports. Like it's just, if you graduate from Michigan State, you bleed green. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that reminds me a lot of Wisconsin, where I have friends that have gone to other institutions and kind of lukewarm on the sports and the fanhood, but not at Michigan State for sure.
Here's the thing. I got to ask you about your first experience in the jump around time at the stadium, because I've worked games at Wisconsin Stadium before, and that place is a football nirvana. I mean, when it's happening, it's happening. How many times were you part of that, or were you ever part of that?
Well, many. A fun story about that, and it ties into kind of what we're doing here at Michigan State, right? So, whether you're a Wisconsin fan or not, right? I think people widely regard the jump around as a unique ritualistic experience in college athletics, right? And was part of it many times. In fact, in 2004, Camp Randall Stadium was undergoing a massive renovation, and they made the announcement they weren't going to play jump around. And after the third quarter, when they normally play it, the student body went berserk. And we did our own rendition of the jump around, where we sang it and we jumped and did it anyways, because they didn't want the bouncing on the bleachers, right, during the renovation.
Uh-huh.
And they must have had some engineers or somebody cleared it to be able to say it was going to be okay, because the following game it returned. And I'm telling you, that took like what I think was a already really strong ritual, and the organicness of it just made it an exceptional thing that has really kind of taken on a life of itself. And that's what Badger fans live for today. There's opportunities like that at Michigan State, right? And I think,
how do we create that at Michigan State?
It happens organically. It does. I think there's opportunities for administrators to kind of lean in when they see these opportunities, say this could be that moment, right? And we have a lot of rituals at Michigan State. Our senior days, our seniors kissing the floor at our last regular season home game at MSU, and that's a ritual that happened organically a long time ago. That's a tradition that continues on. We have a lot of these things. I think it's, how do you find the organic things that fit our institution, fit our athletic programs, fit our student body, that just can take on a life of their own and magnify. But I think the attempts to, make those that aren't authentic, it doesn't really ever seem to fit. Having moved from Pittsburgh, I'll tell you, I really think the Steelers and when they play Styx's song Renegade. Just another ritualistic thing that happened very organically. They weren't trying to make it into a thing. The players bought into it, the coaches bought into it, the fans bought into it, and now, Renegade's taken on a life of itself.
How would you like people to connect with you and your programs and all of that? What's the easiest way for people to learn more about this?
I'd say with me, one of the tools I've always used that I really found helpful from a business networking perspective is LinkedIn. So feel free, if you're a listener and you're interested in connecting, feel free to reference the Tom Matt Show. Happy to connect with you. Like I said, new to East Lansing, somewhat new to Michigan State still, and always looking to connect with great people and loyal Spartans. And then, one of our programs that we launched shortly after my arrival, and this is really, really important for the future of Michigan State and for the legacy of Michigan State. We launched the Force Sparta initiative. It's a capital initiative for Michigan State athletics, and it's the most ambitious of its kind. It's a $1 billion goal, and we're off to a great start. Very, very grateful for incredible donors, and Greg and Dawn Williams made a historic commitment that's very well documented to Michigan State athletics and to MSU, and we need more. We have a big goal to climb. We've got facilities that are going to be part of this master plan that are going to benefit every student athlete. We've got a lot of work to do on our major facilities, including Spartan Stadium and Breslin Center, to make them not just great for the fan experience and the student athletes, but we really want to update those facilities to be legacy facilities in college athletics. And the First Sparta initiative is going to be everything to help us get there. And you can learn more information at forsparta.net.
So let's continue the story, because when you told me this when we had our meeting, I was like, wow, so many students want to come out with, after all that time in college, 3 degrees later, and they want to make their 100, 200 grand right out of the chute. And you decided to go a different direction, and it paid off. So let's take it from there. You're in graduate school, you're finishing grad school, and then what happened?
Well, you mentioned like wanting to be smart, right? Like I think for me, like there's a lot of times that people have, I find comfort in discomfort. A lot of people like to be the smartest guy in the room. I like to find rooms where I'm never the smartest guy. And, that was Wisconsin. It was academically very challenging. Had a pretty rigorous legal studies major. It was, we were competing with most people that have a legal studies degree. It's really designed. It's a pre-law major designed to prepare you for law school. So competitive. And then, law school was put in a room with lots of super smart people. And it's the same competitive drive that I have today. It was new, it was different, but I was going to compete. And business school is the same thing, and the M.B.A. program, especially at St. Louis University, is a great business school program, but I hadn't taken accounting 101 and finance 101. I was jumping into MBA level courses, right? And had to figure it out. And so had to put in the extra time to learn and get through it. And also surrounded myself with great colleagues and friends that helped me get through it. A lot of those people I'm friends with today.
Did you do your MBA and your JD, your law degree simultaneously, or did you do one and then the next? How did that work?
It's a great question. So when I started law school, I went to law school without the intention to do both programs. And as it turned out, when I arrived at St. Louis University, and they've since built a new law school. So it used to be the law school was right across the street from the business school. And I'm a weightlifter, a guy that likes to eat a good lunch, and they had a nice little cafe at the business school. So I remember going over there for lunch with a couple law school colleagues and grabbing lunch, and I saw some information about the JD MBA program, just literally on an old school bulletin board. And one of the guys I was having lunch with was interested in doing that. I said, let's pop in the admissions office and learn more about this. And we did. And we became good friends. Tom McGinty, still good buddy of mine to this day. We went through the law school M.B.A program together. So what it was is a 4-year program at the time. Completed our first year law school requirements, and law school pretty much across the country, it's the same core classes wherever you go. It's those first year, those they call them the 1L classes. And then the whole next year, the next fall and spring was all business school. So I was across the street the entire time and not with my law school colleagues. And then years 3 and 4 was really interesting and challenging because I could go from taking an evidence class at the law school, and I'd walk across the street to the business school and totally change gears and take a brand marketing class. So definitely stretched me intellectually, stretched me from a time management perspective, and in a lot of ways, that experience just being so busy and having a lot on my plate prepared me for this role.
Can you give me a 1-minute takeaway, Jared, from your first visit to our show, please?
I appreciate the time and the questions, and appreciate your willingness to want to get to know me, and making me feel so welcome to Michigan State and to the East Lansing community. I think if I was to give a takeaway for any of the listeners, find that passion. If you're a student, or if you're a young person that's looking to get into the sports industry or any industry, find and follow the thing that you're going to be passionate about. And for folks that maybe aren't students or maybe older in their career and are thinking about making a career change, or go for it. Just go for it, because you live once, right? And I think a lot of times we worry about what can go wrong instead of focusing on what could go right. Be open and willing to look, and if there's a change that you want to make in your life, whether it's a career change, a physical change, go for it. That'd be my takeaway.
Kozinn, transforming college athletics. He will be back. He's got a lot to add to us. We'll be having some meetings and meeting some students and other people across mid-Michigan. Our guests like a Jared Kozinn. Sponsorships are available. Let us know. It's got to be a good fit. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Always remember, you have to love yourself first. Thank you to Sandy, Brock, Jared, for being on the show today. We'll talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Nance Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And thank you again to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa, our production staff, for what they do. We are out.